Peace, love, knowledge, and freedom, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Just Seen podcast. And today, as you've seen from the title, we're going to be talking about divine oneness. The reason why I want to talk about divine oneness is because I have been, for one, I ain't really have no episode to talk about. That's kind of why this one is late. But I went back and I started to look through some of my old episodes and things of that nature. And I seen, just checking some of my metrics and shit. And I saw that I had an episode on the 12 laws of the universe. And I was like, damn, that shit was 5 years ago, almost 5 years ago when I did that episode. But in that episode, I talked about all 12 laws. I never went in depth to each individual law, as I said I was going to do in the episode at some point, I think. So I went back and I re-listened to it, and I was like, yo, this will be a good way, um, not only a good way, but a good topic to cover again. Because going forward in season 12, I can, like from season 12 on, it's like I can go back on some of the things that I went into and went in depth because, you feel me? Y'all day one. So y'all know where I'm at. And now I can give y'all more game and a deeper insight to what things that I was going to be talking about. So I went back and I re-listened to it and I was like, yo, this some fucking good ass content. Like this will be a good way to finish season 12. And then it just made so much fucking sense. This is season 12, finish the season with the 12 laws of the universe, but then go into each individual law individually because um one thing that I pride myself on is, you know, at best as possible practicing what I preach. So I can't teach y'all or tell y'all about, the 12 laws of the universe and not like implement them. You know what I'm saying? Like unfortunately, we live in a system where those who can do and those who can't teach, and those who teach often can't. And they're not able to give you the experience and the understanding. So at this phase of the podcast, at this phase of the journey that we've been on since y'all been traveling with me, like y'all know that I always give the experience. You know what I'm saying? When I talk about the four levels of the mind, belief, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, uh, I think that listening to that episode again, that was the knowledge and the belief of it. You know what I'm saying? Now I can give you the understanding. Like really, I gave you some understanding in there too about how I applied those laws. But now I want to dedicate a full episode to each law. And so that's what I'm going to do. You know what I'm saying? So for the duration of the podcast, because we run about 15, 16 episodes per segment. So for conversations and then, the profane profanity. So for the duration of the profane profanity, I'm just going to do the 12 laws of the universe because I feel like each of these laws are very, very important. And we're now in a space where if you're not paying attention to the times and you're not really looking at the times correctly, you're missing what's being done to the world. And a lot of people always talk about uh, the powers that be, why they aren't being punished, why divine source deity won't step in and do all of these other things. And that's because we have to really step back and consider that are the people or the forces that be, are they in violation of anything? They're definitely in violation of humanity, but are they in violation of the universe? And to understand if something is in violation of the universe, you have to understand the 12 laws of the universe. As a bonus, a lot of the people who have already finished, completed, and read Sophrel 3, the Tree of Life is the segue into that. You know what I'm saying? I was speaking about, and I have to say this for season 13, considering where I'm going, but I was speaking about how time no longer exists for me. And it becomes a point where after you understand the Tree of Life and you get through it and you can get from Kether to Malkuth, that's when you really operate from the 12 laws. And in operating under the 12 laws, you're able to see, you know what I'm doing right now is in violation of this law, or it's in alignment with this law. Let me not say violation because I don't want it to seem like, because you can't break these laws. These laws can't be broken, right? They can only be lived in a way that is either going to be beneficial or detrimental to you. So from the Tree of Life, you know that once you complete the Tree of Life, you transition and you evolve into seeing life from good and bad. And you learn to see it from beneficial or detrimental. Good and bad that's religious shit. That's for, in air quotes, children. You know what I'm saying? And we understand children is not just your age, children is your level of experience, right? So people need to understand good and bad to basically center themselves. But once you get to a point above that where you transcend that, you go into benefit and detriment, which is where the 12 laws of the universe come in. And we're going to begin with the first law, the law of divine oneness. Um, Divine oneness is the starting point of all of this. You know what I'm saying? It is the starting point of all this. If you read Sophra 1, then if you read Sophra 1, you've been listening to the podcast for a while. You always hear me say, from the one come the all, therefore the all is the one. And I'm going to spend this episode explaining what that means. Not only explaining what that means, but explaining how I use that, how I encompass that. Because one thing you always hear me say, a lot of people be thinking I'm an atheist, bro. I'm not an atheist, I'm omnious. Or omnist. I'm not in a space where I don't like gods, or I'm angry with gods, or I don't believe in gods. I understand them. I've left that bullshit a long time ago. I left the belief need and the desire for belief a long time ago. So now I am in the space of the omnious, which openly walks you into the first law of the universe, which is the law of divine oneness. From the one come the all, therefore the all is the one. We're not any separate from source. We're not any different from source. We are source and source is us. And as I was re-listening to the old episode, I said a line where I was saying that we are the extension of source, and source we are the extension of source as source expresses itself through us individually. So there's no different. You know what I'm saying? This part will make more sense when we get to the law of relativity down the line. I don't remember which number that is, but that'll be an episode coming soon. But that oneness that we now embody, that oneness that you now walk into once you have completed the tree of life, is you see this law at play at all times. And understand that it is a law. It is not changing. Nothing you can do can stop this law from happening. You feel what I'm saying? And if you are not ready for what that law does into your life, you'll miss out on it. And it's still going to be at play whether you want it to or not, whether you think it's happening or not. It's at play. Now, we have to be in a space where we're conscious to it when it's in play, that law of divine oneness. But before we dive heavy into that, be sure to follow me on Instagram. Before we dive heavy into that, be sure to follow me on Instagram at Seen the Light. Be sure to check out my website at IamJustSeen.com to get all things that are just seen. To all those who tip, donate, and sponsor to the podcast, you are greatly appreciated. To all those who would like to tip, donate, and sponsor to the podcast, you can do so by clicking the link in the description of the podcast. Not the episode, but the podcast itself. Cash App and PayPal are just fine. And you know the vibes. That's that for this, and that's this for that. So we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to dive into... How am I going to title this series? We're going to dive into divine oneness, the harmony with this. We're going to dive into divine oneness, harmony with the source. And don't forget to visit IamJustSeen.com. There, you can get all things just seen. You want to add the Soul series to your library? Visit IamJustSeen.com. You want to learn how to master the markets for serious trading and investing? Visit IamJustSeen.com. You want to get your hands on some exclusive merch like tees, hoodies, coffee mugs, hats, bags? Visit IamJustSeen.com. Are you thinking about transitioning into the plant-based lifestyle? Visit IamJustSeen.com. You ever want to just chat with Seen about anything from simple advice to mentorship? Visit IamJustSeen.com. Anything and everything that is me, you can find at IamJustSeen.com. So take a quick peek into my world to see why being just seen is nothing less but always more. Because you never really know what you need until you see it, and you will never see it unless you visit IamJustSeen.com. All right. Welcome back. And without further ado, we're going to dive heavy into this motherfucker. So when it comes to divine oneness, let's go ahead and kick it off, right? The first law of the universe is divine oneness. Now, let me explain this first. When it comes to the laws of the universe, there is no sequential order. These are just the things that are at play. We're going in a sequential order because this is just the way, usually they're taught, usually how they're listed. But there is no hierarchy for the laws. One law isn't better than the other. One law isn't over the other. Each law is its own separate entity. One way that I like to explain this is almost like, I use the Ninja Turtles a lot, but I'm not going to use that example. It's like the Wu-Tang Clan. They ain't nothing to fuck with. But although Wu-Tang Clan was a group, we're gonna liken Wu-Tang Clan to. I'm not gonna liken them to the whole episode, but I'm just saying it for this particular part of the episode. We're gonna liken the Wu-Tang Clan to the 12 Laws of the Universe. It's one thing that is a cohesive unit, but individually, each one has its own importance. You know, uh, Raekwon the Chef, Ghostface Killer, um, fucking RZA, Jizza, fucking You God, fucking Method Man, all of ODB, and anybody that I'm leaving out, I'm not leaving out intentionally. I'm just flowing at this particular point. But each of these individual artists were just as significant as the group itself. You feel what I'm saying? One wasn't better than the other as lyrical artists. You know what I'm saying? Despite where their careers went afterwards or whatever the case may be, each of these um, lyricists were lyricists. You feel what I'm saying? It's not a point of one was better than the other because they all knew, nigga, we all got a pen and we got to push this motherfucker, right? So look at the 12 universal laws of the universe that same way. You know what I'm saying? One isn't greater than the other, one isn't less than the other. Each has their own unique ability that comes into making the full, dynamic of what the 12 laws of the universe are. And the first law of the universe is divine oneness. Now, when it comes to divine oneness, we have to understand first that this is why it is universal law, and this is what the universe actually means. We know that universe breaking down means uni and verse means one. A lot of people try to say one word, but it's really the opposition of the one. So this is where it starts. Understanding the opposition of the one, but in understanding the opposition of the one, you have to also understand the harmony of the one. Opposition and harmony are the same thing. Opposite sides of the same coin. Some things are harmonious, some things are in opposition to each other, but there is still oneness there. You feel what I'm saying? When we understand binary code, right? The ancestors, the spirit, our old systems, when they were learning, they were teaching, they were in a space where they truly understood oneness. So much so that binary, that's why you see, like, if you look at the matrix, the binary code, zeros and one, what that really means is that zero is nothingness, one is everything. That's really why there's only two numbers and everything else falls in between it. This is why the numbers start back over after 9 and it goes back from 1 or whatever the case may be. But oneness is simply from the one come the all, therefore the all is the one. There's everything and nothing. That's it. That's the only thing in the world that matters. Everything and nothing and the variations that fall in between. And that's ultimately where the remainder of the 12 laws come in. But as we look at divine oneness, there's that duality. The duality that comes into divinity. Now, if you've read So Frail 3, or if you've been traveling with me long enough, you've heard me talk about divinity, right? Divinity and duality are the same thing. Divinity is just the unity of duality. So I have an episode where I talk about singularity, duality, and divinity, and how you have to go through those phases. Singularity and divinity are the exact same thing, right? But divinity is the understanding of singularity with divinity is the understanding of singularity in relation to duality, right? Singularity is the lack of understanding of divinity in relation to duality. You feel what I'm saying? So when we look at the divine oneness, it encompasses those three components, right? We are source, source is us, and it is us in a space where we're trying to figure out why we're source. I'm doing a dramatic pause with that one because that's what this experience is about. Figuring out why we are source, right? Not only that, how to tap into why we are source through the things that we do in a regular day, in a regular basis, right? So everything that we interact with, everything that we, explore, everything that we put ourselves into, that divinity needs to be there. That divine oneness needs to be there to understand that, oh, in some way, shape, or form, source is here. Whether that be God, Allah, Jehovah, Krishna, Buddha, Jesus, Yeshua, whatever it is that you call it, it is source. You know what I'm saying? We're not separate from source. Source isn't something that we have to go find. It's something that we just have to accept. This is why I say the 12 laws of the universe will not be accessible. They'll be at play in your life, but you won't be able to use them accordingly without having understanding. because it's something that you have to accept. And the first law begins all of that because it's now in a space where you have to accept that you are source and source is you. That is a hard reality to accept when you have been conditioned to believe that you are a separate entity from source, which is weird. Which is weird as fuck. Because in one breath, you'll hear people contradict their own self. And if you live in a state of contradiction, you're violating, and I don't want to say violation, but I have to use it. Just fuck it, we're gonna flow. You're in violation of the law of divine oneness. You feel what I'm saying? If you do not believe that you are because like I said, in one breath we'll say we're creating the image and likeness of, our creator, but then we will not acknowledge that we are the creator. Like, oh no, I'm a child of the creator. No, no, no. I am not a god. I am not this, that, and the third. We won't call ourselves what we see, what we're supposed to see in a mirror. What the fuck you think an image is? What do you fuck you think a likeness is? You feel what I'm saying? It is the thing. You know what I'm saying? It is the reflection. It is literally the world is our mirror. And everywhere we go in this world, we're supposed to see our reflection, which is divine oneness. Whether you're looking at the trees, whether you're looking at the birds, whether you're looking at lions, tigers, bears, oh my, whatever the fuck it is that you're looking at, that divine oneness law is in operation there. And it is on you to understand how this divine law works in your life. You feel what I'm saying? A lot of people can't do that. And it's by design, my nigga. It's by design. They make us not use this law while they use this law on us. You feel what I'm saying? They capitalize. One of the biggest things is like when we look at money and we look at capitalism. Capitalism works because capitalism is one of the many things that uses the law of divine oneness. We don't know that it's using it, but it's using it, and it uses it because it exploits convenience. Now, everybody wants convenience. Everybody wants things to be easier for them. Everybody wants things. This is why I always say convenience is simply being lazy and ignorant. Convenience is created because motherfuckers is lazy and ignorant. They don't want to think and they don't want to do. They want to be thought for and have things done for them. Which now, the law of divine oneness has to be at play somehow. So there's somebody that is actually going to see. Now, check this out. If we are accepting convenience in this way, the law of divine oneness is playing out like this. We are operating from the divine in a space of lack. That means the mirroring and the polarizing perspective of what has to come in with that divine oneness is abundance. So in our lack, the convenience is the buffer between what we don't have and what we feel we can't get. So we go to where it already is and somebody already has it. And the divine oneness is there. One of the quintessential laws, not even a law, one of the quintessential thoughts that highlights and goes with this law is when people, say, where two or three come together in my name, I will be there. That's divine oneness, right? That's the divine oneness. We are now coming into a oneness according to whatever it is that we came to. And this is when it starts to it has to be separate from, and the understanding of spirituality and the derivation between spirituality and religion has to be thoroughly understood. You feel what I'm saying? Because when you understand where two or three come together in my name, I will be there as a religious tenet, which it is, it shows you, it doesn't give you the allegory to understand that, oh, it's because source is now interfacing with itself in the different variation of its oneness. You feel what I'm saying? How source has expressed itself through me is not the same way as source expressed itself through somebody else. But when me and that person come together, we see, oh, we're still source expressing ourselves in a different way. You feel what I'm saying? This is why they don't want an individual thinker. They don't want a person who knows that they're an individual, which is crazy. And this is not to say, oh, we should be our people, since you always talk about the ancestors, practice collectivism and collaboration. Yes, as individuals. They understood the individualism of the person, allowed that to be, and then collaborated with that. You can't collaborate with the same motherfucker. Like, what good is it? What good and what benefit are you going to receive from being involved with a motherfucker who is just like you? You feel me? One phrase that I like to use is that iron sharpens. It's a phrase that is popular. Iron sharpens iron. But how often do we talk about iron fashioning iron? Iron fashioning iron. You feel what I'm saying? We talk about the sharpened iron, but we don't talk about the fashioned iron. That's why I like to use the Ninja Turtles in regards to this, because it's like you have Leonardo with the side with the katana, you have Raphael with the side, you have Donatello with the staff, and you have Michelangelo with the nunchucks. Their weapons are fashioned differently. They have a different fashion of weapons, but the weapon still serves the same. Still serves a point. You feel what I'm saying? And now, when the Ninja Turtles are all coming in together, two or three come together in my name, I will be there. They now go to serve. They fight crime. That's the name. That's how they come together in the name of Source. They fight crime, and they become what? The Ninja Turtles. You feel what I'm saying? When we look at it on our for an individualistic perspective, right? When we come together with someone, we are bringing our nunchucks to their katana. We are bringing our side to their staff. We are bringing that to them. When we constantly bring the side to the side, now we're creating the world of competition, and there's no collaboration there. Source is still there. Now I'm in a space where I no longer. Now Source is in a space where it's like my divine oneness now is about competing rather than collaborating. Competition is how iron is sharpened. Collaboration is how iron is fashioned. You dig what I'm saying? So when it comes to this law of divine oneness, is always there. One thing that, and like I said, this is gonna go real deep and heavy, because I always talk about how one thing that I like to do is make sure that I'm in a space where I can continually learn and grow. My iron is sharp as fuck already. I know how to sharpen that. Like, I can sharpen that at will. But fashioning it is a different thing, and I can only fashion it through different mediums. So when tying it back to the omnis thing, when it comes to somebody being an omnis, I have understanding of all the religions, all the gods. So when I tell you that a god, a deity, is the highest conceptualization of the mind, I mean it. Because the mind is all that there is, for real, for real. The mind is the bridge between the body and the soul. The mind is the bridge between will and action, right? And all of this is divine oneness. So what that means is, to activate your oneness with Source, you have to be able to use your mind. Now we understand the different modalities. We understand the levels of the mind. You have conscious, subconscious, unconscious, knowledge, belief, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, emotion, and thought. All of these things make the mind. And these are all of the mechanics in which Source says, I have to understand me. You feel me? I have to understand me through you. Right? I like to talk about physics, and I like to talk about speed and shit, and the speed of light, speed of sound, and everything like that, speed of thought. Right? When we look at Source, if we're gonna call it energy, we can call it the energy or whatever, Holy Spirit, whatever. It has to slow down enough to come into human form. Check this out. When Einstein created the formula he ain't created it, but he just defined it. E equals mc squared. We love to talk about that. Energy equals matter times the speed of light. Energy equals matter times the speed of light. You feel what I'm saying? Which means that the faster, in order to get the energy, you have to have the matter, the formula for the matter or the mass or whatever the case may be, times the speed of light. Speed of light is a constant. So the only two things that can change in a situation are the mass or the matter and the material and the energy. You feel what I'm saying? By that, if you understand physics, if you understand mathematics for real, in order to get matter, in order to get mass, energy has to be divided by the speed of light. It's this simple rearranging of the formula. Matter equals energy divided by the speed of light. When energy slows down, it becomes matter. I'm going to say that again, because this is going into divine oneness. When energy slows down, it becomes matter. It becomes mass. So now when we understand the chakras, when we understand the true spirituality doesn't separate science from reality, right? So when we understand Source as the energy, it has to slow down into the matter that is us. When we look at divine oneness, it's like they call it metaphysics. You can call it whatever you want to call it. It's all written. It's all written. And it's whether or not you have the capacity and the capabilities to truly understand it. You feel what I'm saying? So when we're in this space and we're constantly looking at it from, hey, I need to lock in like this, or I need to lock in like that. The goal of it all is to understand, how am I source? And how is source me? I am a slowed down version of the creator. The creator is a sped up version of me. That's it. This is one of the reasons why when you hear people talk about it happens in the spiritual realm first before it happens in the physical realm. Mathematically, this is how. Physically, metaphysically, scientifically, however you choose to look at it, this is how. It's a simple formula. Energy equals mass times acceleration. Therefore, mass equals energy divided by the speed of light. Well, not acceleration. I said that wrong. That's force. That's a whole different conversation. E equals mc squared. Energy equals matter times the speed of light. Now, this is one of the reasons why I say when we look at the chakras, the speed of light sits at the speed of light sits at the brow chakra, third eye. The speed of thought is faster than the speed of light. So this is why the mind has always been so important. This is the reason why the mind has always been so important, because of divine fucking oneness. Our thoughts, right? The ethers, however it is, that's that step up. That's where the crown chakra comes in. This is why I talk about in the tree of life, you have to get through that, unblock all your chakras to even be able to access source for real. I'm not trying to be funny. I'm not trying to play and be an asshole when I say this shit. But when people say, yeah, I caught the word, I caught the spirit, I caught this, that, and the third. Did you really? Why can you only catch it on a specific day doing a specific thing? And this is what the purpose of a ritual is. Whether they be spiritual rituals or religious rituals, however you're looking at it, the purpose of a practice and a ritual is to bring you what? Closer to source, closer to God, closer to Allah, closer to whatever. But the reality is, considering this formula, it is to find the balance between your matter as mass, as you as matter are able to speed up fast enough and allow source to slow down fast enough for you two to be in alignment with each other. That is achieved by thought. That is achieved by thought through the mind. So now when we consider, the motherfucker that created the education system and dropped the bag on it and said, I don't want a nation of thinkers. I need a nation of workers. I don't want a group of motherfuckers who think because they are connecting to source. And when you're connecting to source, you now return back to the individual person that you are. So now I'm going to put buffers in there to let you know there is only one source. There is only one source. We create this monotheistic thing, but I'm not going to tell you that it's the highest conceptualization of your mind. I'm going to give you what conceptualization I need you to have in your mind so I can control how you are able to access source. Because now when you are in a space where you're speeding up and you're meeting source where it's slowing down, you now find who you are. But if I control all of the mechanics that can keep you from speeding up or slowing down, I can honor the law of divine oneness by making you ignorant to it. And the law of divine oneness will still be at play in your life, and you will have no control in it. You will have absolutely no control, zero control whatsoever, because you now have to wait for me to give you the permission to do so. One of the things that I always talk about is like, when you follow the religion of your oppressor, the most you can get from that oppression is permission. There is no freedom. You can fight for it all. You can pray for it all day long. You're not going to get it because this isn't something that you have to ask for. Source doesn't have to ask for shit. It takes. It just does. Whatever it wants, it gets. But it knows how to do that. It comes back as a human in human form, it slows down into this matter in order to fully interface with itself to figure out why it is source. Now I get it. No, no, no. My Bible, my Quran, my religion says that God, Allah, and they know everything. They know everything. They can't not know something. You sure? Why were you created then? You created to obtain experience. That's it. You were created in the image and likeness of source for a source to obtain experience that it would not be able to create, would not be able to obtain. And that's what divine oneness is. There's a quote that says, in the solitude of themselves, you can't tell the difference between a wild beast and a god. Why? Because the two things are the same. It's the same shit. It's the same shit. And it is the expression of what? Divine oneness. There's the balance. And it's not, and the balance creates a harmony. You feel me? And that harmony is derived from understanding I as source and manifesting as you. This now goes into religious texts, Kemetic science, all of these different things. And in Kemet, they had a quote and a phrase that says "Nuke Poo Nuke" in UK, and this is I'm spelling it in English, not in the actual Kemetic letters, Kemetic words. In UK, PU in UK, Nuke Poo Nuke. I am that I am. Even in the Bible, when I think it was Moses or Abraham, one of these niggas, they asked God, who I think it was Moses. He was like, "Who are you? What is your name?" I am that I am. That's what he told him. I am that I am. Every time we utter the words I am, we are we are attempting to assert ourselves as source in some way, shape, or form. Now, whatever follows that I am determines how we're going to manifest the oneness with source within ourselves. And whatever we utter after I am, source says I am. And that's how our lives maneuver. When I talk about the chakras, this is even in the book of Revelations, the 7 seals that are going to break, those are the chakras that are going to, open up or whatever the case may be. But when we understand the chakras, the first 3, this is why I always tell y'all, they got you and your personal identity fucked up, because whatever you internalize and you utter after I am, you are. This is why when you go to jail, I hope none of y'all have never been to jail. I hope you've never been arrested. But if you have, you understand what I'm talking about. When it comes to big crimes, felonies or whatever, they don't say you have committed a felony. They tell you you are a felon. Why would they tell you that you are a felon? Because now when you utter it back, I am a felon, what do you think you are now? What do you think you have to speed up for source to slow down and meet you in the middle with that? I am, that I am. That I am is everything that follows I am. So when you say I am a felon, you're a felon. And now your world is created and predicated in a way to move in which the way felons move. Which now you have the duality, because like, oh, I can't get a job, I can't do this, I can't do that. You think like a felon too. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. The moment you utter I am, you are now thinking in your heart. This is why that little line, as a man thinketh in his heart, is so powerful, because now when we understand the mind, and I told you that the mind is divided between emotion and thought. As a man think in his heart, when you intertwine your emotions with what you believe you are, that is your divine oneness with source. That is how you decide, this is how I am one with source. Mind blown, I know. This is why you have to be very, very specific in the way in which you speak to, for, and about yourself. Anything that you say I am with, you are. Anything that you add my with, you take ownership of. You always hear me say, when I used to when I tell people about referring to themselves in a certain way, like when people make a mistake, like my dumb ass did this, that, and the third. Source is gonna make sure your dumb ass continues to do this, that, and the third. Because you taking ownership of your dumb ass. My dumb ass. You have acknowledged that you are dumb. And you wonder why you do dumb shit? Like it's no coincidence. I know that there's a direct correlation. There's a direct correlation between people that I know that I've heard utter those words and their actions being done. But like, why you do that shit? I don't know. You do know. You just don't want to admit that this is how source manifests itself through you. Now that becomes crazy because it's like when people say, "Use me, Lord," He's going to use you in the way in which you utter "I am" every single day. I am sick. Hmm. Source is going to move through you as a sick being. I am tired. Source is going to move through you as you're tired. I am broke. Source is going to move through you as if you broke. I am rich. I am wealthy. I am abundant. Source is going to move through you in these things. Now, going back to what I was talking about with the chakras, but the moment you internalize what you are based off what you do, you're only going to do the actions that magnify what you are. Because this is divine oneness. This is that law. I don't tell people this shit just for, spiritual wokeness and shit. And yeah, nigga, we got to get our vibes right. No, fuck that. I'm going to tell you how to do it. When I came to terms with this reality, my life started to change because I now started to become a lot more accountable with the shit that I do based off of the shit that I say to myself and the shit that I say for myself and about myself. If you've ever done a one-on-one session with me, when we start the session, I say, "Who are you? Who are you?" Here's a distinction and why I do that. By the beginning of the session and the end of the session, I say these two same things. And the people that have completed the session, you know what I'm talking about. You have reached a point where you now see why I say what I say. Where by the beginning of the session, I'm like, "Who are you?" And they usually say, "My name is such and such." I'm taking ownership of my name, but I'm not saying who I am. When I was in undergrad, this was the first time I heard it. And it stuck with me. It resonated so heavily because it just hit me like a ton of bricks. Like, I think it was the Mr. FSU at the time, our freshman year. He came through and spoke to us in the honors hall. And he just started asking, "Yo, who are you?" And everybody, because we all freshmen and shit, we don't know where he's going with this. He's like, "Who are you?" And somebody was like, "My name is such and such." He said, "Nope, wrong answer." Went to another motherfucker. He said, "Who are you?" He was like, "My name's such and such." He came to me. He was like, "Who are you?" I said, "My name Racine, bro. What the fuck?" Now, at the time, I was going by Curtis because I was in that transition. I was like, "My name Curtis." "Nope, wrong answer." "The fuck you mean wrong answer, bitch? That's who the fuck I am." I ain't say that to him, but that's what I'm thinking because, I'm in that transitionary phase. I'm fresh out the hood, nigga. Don't disrespect me. I said my name, nigga. The fuck? But then he said, "No, whenever somebody asks you who you are, you tell them who you are. You always begin with 'I am,' and then you say your name." Whoa. Why, sir? Tell me why. Because when you utter "I am," everything that follows, it sticks. At the time, I had not even gone through any of the shit that I studied and I learned now to make this episode. But in the moment, I was starting to see, he said, every time you say that, you give yourself permission to be that. What? So every time I say "I am Racine," and it was in that moment I stopped going by Curtis, started going by Racine, because I even looked up the name, and that's how I found out the name means, light seer. So now when I knew my name, and now I'm saying I am the light that is seen. Because when I phonetically and I break down my name, Ra, the Egyptian god of light, or the sun, and then seen means to view. I'm the God that is viewed. The vision of God. Like I can give you all kind of word plays on the name. But when I started to utter "I am Racine," wow. That shit started to change who I was because it was different than saying "I am Curtis." Curtis means something totally different than Racine. But when I started saying "I am Racine," then and I knew what the name meant, I started to say, "That's what I am." That's how Source decided to come through me to be. This is one of the reasons why they don't want us naming our kids the way we used to name our kids. In our cultures, prior to colonialism and shit, your child didn't get a name at birth. They got a name as their actions developed. Because, oh, this is how Source wants to be. But the moment you get your name, that's who you are. They set the game up early. They know what we don't know. but they do not violate the laws of the universe. They use the laws of the universe well. So we want you to have these names. We'll give you a book of baby names, what sounds good, or whatever the case may be. As a people, we always knew. It's wild. We was like, I want to name my kid. Some of us would. I name him something biblical. I got an uncle, right? His name Alex. We got into it because you can't talk history. Hey, you got to be careful how you talk history to me. So I was like, it's wild because his name is Alex. And as we was talking, he said, "Yeah, he said my name is Alexander. I was named after Alexander the Great." I said, "The one who killed black people, the one who went to war with Africans. You're proud of that, right? Stop saying no, nigga. You feel me? You can't you got to be careful how you flex because he tried to laugh at my name. That's the only reason why I went at him like that because he was like, "Your name's Racine," because your name is Alex. Your name is Alexander. You're named after Alexander the Great. Ugh, ugh. You have affirmed that I am an entity that killed people that look like me. I am an entity that went to war with people that look like me and colonized people. I am a person who has raped, pillaged, and plundered people that look black like I am. Wow. Have at it, Alex. You are Alex. And this is when words have power that you don't even understand. Because if you don't understand, this is why I'm big on vocabulary, etymology, definitions, linguistics, lexicons, all of that shit. Because when you don't know the words that you speak, every time you utter I am, whether you know it or not, Source does. You know how Source knows already? Because everybody's already connected. I am that I am. From the one come the all. Therefore, the all is the one. Someone can have information that you don't have, and they can give you an explanation that Source will register that you have no idea about, and they can change you. This is magic, nigga. This is how when people like this motherfucker put a root on me, they spoke against me or whatever the case may be. In order for them to speak against you, you still have to accept the speech. One thing that I noticed that happens a lot of time, I used to happen to me with women and shit. And I had to start neutralizing this shit because no, motherfucker, you wrong. They be like, I'm going to tell you about yourself. You can try. I'm not accepting that. I know who I am. You can't tell me about me. And when you attempt to tell me about me, if it's not in me, I'm not accepting that shit. But the moment you say, I am, you accept it. The moment you say you accept it. The moment you speak in a way in which you obtain ownership for something, you are. Because as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Where two or three come together in my name, I will be there. Source will manifest through the words that we speak. So now when I say and deities don't speak language. They speak imagery. Now we're getting deeper into divine oneness. Because the images that I see, because now when we go into the speed, now we're going back to the speed of light. Images in the mind, they sit at the third eye. We just broke down how the third eye, if we understand that brow chakra, it associated with light. Light, the speed of light, c squared. E equals mc squared. The way in which we communicate through source, because sound, you have sound, then you have light, then you have thought. Thought sits just above light. Light is associated with imagery. So the images that I see from the words that I speak is what tells source how I need to think. So when I tell you that the mind is the bridge between the body, the action, and the will, when people say it's not my will, it's always your will. It's always God's will. The wills are the same. Because you have to speed up your material. You have to speed up your physical and slow down the spiritual in order to meet at the mental. That's where all of the creation happens, in the mind. And then the speech happens, in which now the words in which I speak are now slowing down. So I'm going to show you how they slow down. Because the speed of light is 3.00. It's really like 2.9 something, but we're going to round up. 3.0 times 10 to the 8 meter per second square. That's the speed of light. The speed of sound is 343 meters per second. Sound is significantly slower than light. Now, when we put sound and we put sound and light together, we're going to understand that the light, because we have the different spectrum of colors and images, that's where we have imagery from. Imagery slowed down is words. When our imagery is slowed down, we speak. When our words are sped up, we see. You see what I'm saying? Do you see what I'm saying? When I speak these words, they are to give you an image in your mind to see what it is that I'm saying. So now, at this particular point, we're in a podcast episode, you're listening. We are two people coming together, and Source is here now. Source been here when we walked into this motherfucker. When you press play, when I press record, now we're meeting in the middle. And now we're meeting and interfacing as Source right now. You're listening to me. You might be ad-libbing every now and again if I say something that's hot or whatever. But we're in a space right now where everything that I say, the words that I say, now go with the speed of sound, 343 meters per second. When it hits your ears, it now has to speed up into your mind to catch an image so you can see what it is that I'm saying. And in seeing what it is that I'm saying, you're able to think about it. I'm doing a dramatic pause just so it all can process. Just so it all can process. That's all I'm doing. Don't mind me. That's all I'm doing. But now when we see this is not just simplistic shit. This is at play every single day. These are laws of the universe. So when we ourselves are being spoken to from Source, Source is slowing down in order to cross the barrier in our thought, to come down to create imagery, to communicate with us. Now we speak. So when people say, God told me to tell you something, God said this about you, God said that, whatever it is that Source gave you an image, and now you have to have the words to be able to deliver the message. You can only give the message within the words you understand to be able to give the image. In my mind, I'm gonna use this to show the power of words and show the power of vocabulary. Now, I'm gonna say something the same way, I'm gonna say the same exact thing a multitude of ways, and it's going to give you different images every single time that are exactly the same image. But the details of the image change. That's why they say when you speak on manifestations, when you pray, when you do whatever it is that you're going to do to Source, you have to be specific. And the greater your vocabulary is, the more words that you can read, understand, and comprehend, the better your imagery is. And the better your communication is with Source. So when I say the car is red, you see a red car, right? The vehicle, now you see a red car, but now when I say the vehicle is crimson, not only do you see a car, you see moving. You see a car, you see a truck, you see a bus, you see whatever. The vehicle is moving. I mean, the vehicle is crimson. Crimson is a specific color red. You only see the same color across the board. Now, when I said red, you could have pictured whatever color. I don't even know if you're picturing the same color of red that I said. But you picture whatever color red pops into your head that is most associated with red. That could be the red that's a stop sign, the red of a stoplight, the red of the Miami Heat jersey. There's different variations of the color red, but each of these variations have a specific name. If I just say red, it leaves you open to whatever it is. So now when we understand how this language works and why they want you to be only able to communicate on a certain level with people, dumb it down, as they say. I want you to dumb it down because I don't want you to smarten it up. Because if you smarten it up, people have a better imagery of what you see. I want you to be vague in what you express. I want you to be detailed, but be vague in what you express so somebody's mind can only see a limited expression of that. Which means if they have to use Source, if they have to connect Source to some bullshit. You're not specifically connecting to Source. You're vaguely connecting to it. And you wonder why your manifestations, my prayers are going unanswered. It's like you're not specific enough. And even still, the prayer doesn't do anything but create the imagery for you to communicate with Source, or Source to ping back to you what needs to be done. What actions you need to do to receive exactly what the fuck you're doing. Divine oneness is a very powerful law. It is a very, very powerful law. And I know I talk shit when I say, y'all, I do this because I do this. But I had to understand what I was doing first. And I also had to understand what was being done to me. So like I said, when it came down to the reality of, the first three chakras: root, sacral, and solar plexus. The root chakra is blocked by fear, and it's based off survival. Solar plexus is blocked by guilt or I like to say onus because it could be credit or blame. You feel me? For the things that you do, the feelings and everything, and then your personal identity is your solar plexus. So the things that you do are expressed to you from your solar plexus, your sacral chakra, and the things that you are from your solar plexus. So your personal identity is everything that you say I am. Eminem got the song, I am whatever you say I am. If I wasn't, then why would I say I am? Let me stop. So I'm about to get dramatic as fuck with that one. But that's a powerful affirmation. To be honest with you, I am is the only affirmation. Everything else is confirmation. But I am is the affirmation. And anything you say after I am starts to shape your personal identity because Source says, okay, this is the will that I'm going to infuse within you to be. So again, tying it back into the felony example, and then tying it back in just in all aspects. When I started this is one of the reasons why when my brand and everything first began, when I was just saying, this is why I did that. These were the foundational stages of learning, divine oneness, learning this. I was like, don't call me this, that, and the third, because the moment you say I utter that this is what I am, this is what I be. I know, grammatically, that incorrect. Suck a dick, motherfucker. Look, the moment I utter I am, I be. I be that. I be that. And again, the subtle ways in which you accept certain shit in your life is so simple. I remember when I used to be young and motherfuckers used to say shit, they'd be like, man, you a bust, yo, I be that. I used to say it in a sarcastic way to try to downplay it, like, oh, nah, what you saying, they don't know. The moment I start to say that, you got to start to realize, am I planting this in fertile soil now? When a motherfucker says you are, I will say I am. This is why when you look at religion, this is how religion becomes so cultic, because religion doesn't do anything but tell you what you are or what you aren't. I don't remember, I say it periodically through episodes. A lot of people know what they aren't and none of what they are. Talk to the average religious person, you ask them I know what my ministry isn't. They know what they aren't, but they don't know what they are. And by proxy, because they know what they aren't, they accept that as what they are. All you keep hearing is get into the markets, but do you trade or do you invest? Should you do stocks, Forex, crypto, or NFTs? My personal answer is not a single one if you don't know how to read a chart. Without knowing how to read a chart, you end up giving all your money to those who do. Do you know what a candle is? Do you know the pocket of activity? Do you know the difference between market direction and market control? If you answer no at least once, you might want to learn how to read a chart first. Learning how to read a chart will let you know if you should trade or invest, and if you should do stocks, Forex, crypto, and or NFTs. It will also let you know if this is even for you or not. So visit IamJustSeen.com to learn how to read charts with my Mastering the Market course, ebooks, and webinars today. The world is changing. The question is, will you adapt with it? Because the mind, the universe, it doesn't acknowledge, the duality. When it comes to divinity, it is a unison. From the singularity through the dualities, it automatically unites to dualities. So there is no not. There is no can't. There is no negative connotation of ability. It's not. It's just, oh, you think I'm just going to make this the other way. So when you say I cannot stop doing this, you utter that I keep doing this. So you're gonna keep doing the shit. You feel what I'm saying? If I tell you don't think about an elephant, you still thought about the elephant. Do you know why you still thought about that elephant? Because when I said those words, your mind sped those words up to the image in your head and you saw the elephant. You didn't see not. You saw the elephant that you weren't supposed to be seeing. How many times in the divine oneness law being honored have you seen some shit you wasn't supposed to see? How many times do you continually see shit that you're not supposed to be seeing? Over and over and over again. This is done this way, my nigga. So when I say, okay, how does the universe, how do these motherfuckers not get in trouble for the shit that they're doing? Because you accept it. When they put the bullshit and the media and all of that shit in front of you, it's like, I'm not gonna give you the words. I'm gonna give you the imagery. And the words together, whatever the case may be, but I'm gonna give you imagery. Why? Because now Source sees this as what you want to be entertained with. Entertainment is fucking powerful. Entertainment is how you manifest and dictate your thoughts. Entertainment governs what you think. Regardless of how you want to look at it, regardless of how you want to paint the picture, entertainment governs what you think every single time. This is why you're so easily entertained. But they condition us to want to be entertained. I can't see shit else. Because now, when the image is now created, that means that it now bypasses the need to have to speed up in your mind to see. Your mind can see it because your eyes are open. And you're going to consume the shit. So now all of your thoughts are going to be tied to this. Case in point, I use this example all the time because it's still effective and relevant. This is why millennials do not drive behind log trucks. We never conjured this reality in our minds. You already went to Final Destination. I didn't even have to say the name of the movie. You knew where I went with that. And why we don't drive behind log trucks. Do you feel what I'm saying? That imagery was already painted in us. So now when Source is involved, because from the one come the all, therefore the all is the one. So when we're all on the road and Source is interfacing as this person who has to drive the log truck and this person who has to drive their car in the lane behind the log truck, we're also wired to that we would instantly go ahead and get out of the lane. I'm not driving behind that shit. Why? You did not see that happen, but you saw it happen. I know, it's like, that don't make no sense. It makes a lot of sense. You yourself never seen it happen. You saw a movie that painted a picture to implant in your mind for you to see it. This is why they say seeing is believing. But now if seeing is believing, I can make you believe whatever by giving you what to see. You yourself was not any of the characters in that movie who were driving behind that log truck when the shit came out and motherfuckers started going through shit. But it shows the impact and the efficacy of how wired some shit is sometimes. Because now when we look at the sounds, when we look at the different components that made that imagery sit so heavy, we won't drive behind what you call it. However, because most of us are you melanated like me that are listening to this podcast episode, and if you're not, still welcome. You can be here. But most of us are you melanated. So the scene in Final Destination when the girls got killed in the tanning bed, that didn't stick with us. That didn't stick. We don't tan. I don't know if it's the exact same movie, but it's the Final Destination movies or whatever the case may be. But the girls was in the tan. But you know what I listen to when my music is playing? When I hear my music and I shuffle through my oldies, I hear Roller Coaster of Love. When I hear that song, you know what it makes me think about? The girls in the tanning bed when they died, because that's the song that they was listening to when they got killed. But I'm not traumatized of a tanning bed because I don't tan. I don't have that imprint within my mind of what of someone who had watched that movie and watched them get electrocuted and died will feel if they went to a tanning bed. Who tans? Because divine oneness is that divine oneness is not at play. It's at play, but that divine oneness does not affect me because I can't internalize that because I don't tan. But I do drive behind log trucks. Me personally, have never seen that shit happen. I just seen a movie that showed me it happening. If that's what happens, if that's what happened to us just from watching Final Destination, imagine what happens to you when you watch the news every single day. Every single day. You didn't see none of this news happen. None of this news that they're reporting to you, did you see it happen? But you're seeing it happen. The mind does not know the difference between fantasy and reality when when your visual eyes can see it. So it's hard to tell the difference between reality and fantasy when your reality is given to you in a fantastic way. So when I give you the imagery that continually shows you this is good, this is what you perceive to be good. When I continually give you the imagery of this is bad, this is what you perceive to be bad. But this is why once you get through the tree of life and you get to the actual point where you now are in the space of the universal laws, you now see what's beneficial and detrimental. You now start to see what is really beneficial and detrimental because it's beneficial and detrimental based off of how it can now be planted into your mind. We be thinking that prayer is what connects us to source. It don't. Prayer don't connect you to source unless you can see what you're saying. This is why it's very symbolic that they teach you to pray in a beggar's position. When they teach you to pray, they teach you to come as a humble servant. When they teach you to pray, they teach you to come in to give confessions for your wrongs. Because when you say these words, you see the bullshit that you've done. And now when you speak in the source says, well, this is the life you want to live if you're going to keep talking about it and praying about it. The fuck I'm going to solve your problem for? You like the problem. You keep talking about it. You can hold that image in your head. But how well can you hold an image of prosperity in your head? What do you look like when you're prosperous? What do you look like when you're happy? What do you look like when you feel good? Pray about that shit. Because now when you speak these words, they create the images in your head. When they create the images in your head, now you tell source what you want. But now when I'm singing songs that say, I'd rather have Jesus than silver and gold. Poverty is just a hop, skip, and a jump away. You're going to stay in poverty forever. What is it for a man to gain the whole world and lose his soul? And when you think of what it means to lose your soul, because nobody, and this is something that, man, my sister, I had to stop doing this shit, bro, because I didn't know that I was doing it. I never seen this happening. But my sister and my brother told me the story so many times that I just assumed it did because I was so young and impressionable that I just went with it. So my sister would be chilling with her friends and she'll talk about an experience that happened when we was in church, when I lived in California. And now how this lady came in, the church people said she had a demon. And when they came in, they started praying for her. She threw up. And when she threw up, whatever she threw up rolled out of the church. I never seen that. My siblings had told me in such a way that I believed that they. And then me and my sister was talking. She said, man, it was my brother. He said, man, that shit ain't roll up out of the church, man. He said, I started saying that shit. And then he was like, our sister just believed him. And he started saying it. And then it was like, nah, he said, the lady did throw up. But we don't know if she could have been drunk. She could have been anything when they was praying for her. And she just threw up. But it didn't roll out of the church. So in my mind, I visibly saw the fucking shit, the lady throw up and roll out of church based off of a story I was told. Based off the fucking story I was told. So now when my sister would call me and be like, yo, remember when we was in church? I said, yeah, and the motherfucker threw up and it rolled out of church. The motherfuckers be like, oh, yo, that really happened. I didn't see it. But somebody had given me the words to help me see it. Because where 2 or 3 come together in my name, I will be there. Where 2 or 3 come together in my name, I will be there. That's divine oneness. Deities don't speak words, they speak images. Your words are supposed to create the images that make you connect with your deity. If every word you speak when it's time to connect to your deity is on some bullshit, your deity gonna be on some bullshit. You be thinking, oh, the devil busy. The devil busy. No, nigga, you prayed for this shit. You prayed for a busy devil. This is what I be meaning when I say that shit. When people be like, I'm trying to be funny. No, I'm not trying to be funny. When I say, when they be like, the devil was busy. Well, did you hire him? Who hired him? You gave him the job. No, I didn't. The devil just active in my life or whatever the case may be. No. Your perception of being a born sinner, the imagery that you constantly put in your head, it makes devils come to life in your world. Source is about benefit and detriment. Source will show up as you image. And your life will be created that way. So this is why they give you the reality. They don't tell you that God is both. They don't tell you that Allah is both. They don't tell you that Krishna, Buddha, Jesus, there's a duality between these things. They don't tell you that. They tell you that there's two specific different entities. There's a God and a devil. It's the same shit. It's the same shit. It's source. And it's manifested according to benefit and detriment. This is why people say, oh, this was a blessing in disguise. No, it won't. No, it won't. You now turn shit to sugar. That's all. A blessing in disguise is your capability and your ability to turn shit to sugar. The proverbial of life gives you lemonade, lemons make lemonades. That's all that is, because what happens is now, when you utter these words and when you say, I'm tired of living like this, I'm tired of going through this, I'm tired of doing this, and your image says, your mind says, I no longer, when you start to say, I am, and whatever follows, I no longer, like, you can't say, I want this, I desire this, I need this. That shit does not matter. What matters is when you speak certain things and you say, I am with it, but when you speak certain things and you can conjure the imagery of it, it will happen. When you start to see yourself differently, you start to do different shit. Source says, now you're different. As long as you continually to visualize yourself in a way in which you do, in the way you don't want to be, you're going to live your life like that. It's not an accident, bro. It's not an accident. When I say I'm against religion, this is why I'm against religion, because religion only teaches you to say, to visualize what's in the religion. Like, niggas don't get that, like, y'all, that shit, like, it's fucking, this is thousands of years old. You can't see the same shit then that you're supposed to see now. So you're not connecting to the source then. Now, but this is where it says, well, God is the same now, then, and forever. Source is the same then, now, and forever, principally, not details. They keep changing the details so you don't get to the principle of what source really is. Because you'll get to the point where you finally realize source is me. Jesus said it. Muhammad said it. Krishna said it. Buddha said it. All of the motherfuckers that you follow told you don't follow me. They said don't follow me, nigga. Be like me. And people be thinking be like me means behave. No, that's not what I'm doing. I'm not behaving. I'm accessing source. I'm accessing source as source meant to be accessed through me. That's divine oneness. I am accessed through source. I am accessing source in the exact same way that source decided to access itself through me. We be thinking, oh, I'm blessed. I got favor. No, you don't. You can't have favor with the same shit everybody else got favor with. It'd be stupid shit. You got permission. That's different. You know, favor ain't fair. Favor is hella fair. Favor is fair. Favor is just. Favor is the reality created when you know what the fuck you're doing. If in your mind you constantly envision yourself as being confused, you will be confused. Source will see to it. If your mind, you see yourself as confident, source will see to it that you're confident. But the moment you accept that somebody else's words say, be humble, be this, be that, and you say, all right, I will. All right, I am. Those are some of the most powerful words. I am and I will. I know I said I am, but I will is too. I will this into existence. I don't want this to happen. I will this to happen. That's different because now you're saying, source, this is what I want. I want this. But in the willing of it all, you have to be able to imagine it. This is why I have that episode on imagination. Your imagination is based off of the shit that you've learned. The words that you can associate to images at will. That's your imagination. So now when I want to create something, I have to sit and meditate on my imagination and say, source, this is what I want. I don't have to say this is what I want. I have to visualize what I want. So when I say these things, right? When I say these things and then I write them down, they say you write shit down and it becomes real. I'm going to tell you how that actually works. I'm going to give you another cheat code to make it work better. When I say the shit that I say, and then I write it down. As I'm writing it, I'm also envisioning it, what I'm writing down. When I can remember and recall the image of the writing that I had, that's one of the things that be getting me. Like when people say when it's time to write or whatever the case may be, like as a writer, as a rapper, as a person who actually records music, I write my music down, right? And when I'm going over my music, I'm not. The reason why is it becomes easier. It gets easier for me to remember what it is that I'm saying, is because as I'm writing it and when I'm rehearsing it and going over it, I'm visualizing what I'm saying. I'm visualizing the entire story over the beat. I'm gonna give you all the cheat code and what I use and I'm gonna show you why I do this. I'm gonna show you how it transitions into other things that tie to divine oneness. So the more that I say it, it's not me trying to remember the words. It's trying to say the words in which I see them in a sequential manner over this beat. So I could be saying something, and then I could just be once I'm on the instrumental, I know what part of the instrumental I'm supposed to say what word. Because in my mind, as I'm saying these words, I'm creating the image in my head simultaneously. I'm creating this image in my head with the words that I'm speaking. So it gets to a point where I'm not remembering the words or even trying to remember the words. I'm trying to see the image in my head and I say what's coming. I say what's supposed to come next. To the flip side of that, when people say, yo, when you said such and such, how did that bar come down? That was source, nigga. That was source. And what happened was I saw the image first and I wrote about it. That's why when I tell people, like when people say, yo, when you rap, I can see what you're saying. I know because I see what I'm saying first before I rap. I don't just be making up shit. Like I don't like for real. I don't just be making up shit because it rhymes and it's a punchline. No, I'm telling a story. I'm telling what I saw. If you've heard one of my sessions called Sagittarius Moon, I have a line where I say, if imitation is sincerest form of flattery, that mediocrity could pay to greatness, what's it say when you portray that you can wear a better yoni when you're rolling with a prostate cosplay? I see the quote. If imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, that mediocrity can pay to greatness. I use that. Then I say, what's it say when you portray that you can wear a better yoni, but you're rolling with a prostate? Cosplay. You've seen everything that I just said. As I'm weaving my words, I need you to see what I'm saying. In order for you to see what I'm saying, you have to know the words that I'm speaking. This is why they don't want people to have extensive vocabularies. This is why they don't want people to read. This is why they don't want people. This is why they need people to be at the reading comprehension level of a fucking sixth grader. Because you can't see beyond what a 12-year-old can see. Ain't that some shit? The average American, the average adult in America doesn't read beyond a sixth grade level. Let's sit with that. The average motherfucking adult in America does not read beyond a sixth grade motherfucking level, which means what? The images that you can conjure in your head are that of a 12-year-old, 11 to 12-year-old, which means as source has to connect to you, it can only connect to you as if you're a 12-year-old. Because again, E equals MC squared. M, which is matter, which is mass, which is the physical. Energy has to slow down by the speed of light in order to make the physical. So when it comes from the ethers, this is what I be telling motherfuckers, you got to pull it from the ethers. When it comes from the ethers and it slows down into thought to create the image for you to see, to speak about, to write about, then go do, it only can communicate to you as if you're 12 years. They're fucking 12 years old, bro. When I say I got an extensive vocabulary, I got the impressive vocabulary, I got the vocabulary that I have, it is not to flex on niggas. It is to be able to conjure up the right images to get source to do what I needed to do. Now, when I put my shit over music, it hits me different. I listen to my music more than anybody else. Most of my streams come from me because I'm going back to re-listen because a lot of my shit is affirmations. It is the imagery that I see in my head about myself that I have to remind myself. For example, I have a session, and this is divine oneness. It's tying into this because the aspects of divine oneness sit above the chakras that they keep having you stuck on. Everybody, we got to get on the heart chakra, be on love. Fuck that. Love is not that bullshit they trying to teach. It ain't no kumbaya shit, bro. Love is the power for betterment through correction. If you ain't willing to go to war, it ain't no love there. War is the highest piece of correcting a motherfucker. But I ain't even gonna talk about the war aspect. We're not gonna go on that. I'm just gonna stick on the higher chakras, the throat, the crown, the brow, and the crown. In order to use these points correctly, that is sound, that is light, and that is thought. In order to shift to speed sound up, in order to speed sound up into thought, you have to understand light. You have to be able to create what you see in order for source to be able to give you the light that you need. So when I say the music that I listen to, the music that I create, I use these affirmations. For example, I said, what I saw in the mind, I see in the mirror. Those retinal blurs are now getting clearer. I took time to jot down the universe's formulas. The 12 laws clearly show me what my aura was. These 12 laws, as we finish this series, these 12 laws, when they are all in position, they are all at play, and you're using them correctly, you are in absolute control of your life. Everything good, everything bad, everything beneficial, everything detrimental is all on you. There is no external source, that external thing that is affecting you. No internal. There's only internal things that are affecting you. And I know people say, well, this person manipulated me. This person, you allowed them. Because the words that they spoke created the images that changed who the fuck you were. And allowed source to move the way that you needed to move. The moment you accept anything from somebody, if you accept the words from people, they got you. This is why the throat chakra, if you understand it, when I went over the chakras, I might do a series on that too, where I go in depth on each one. Or spend just one episode on that chakra. But when you understand the throat chakra, it is blocked by lies. Lies you tell and lies you hear, whether you know it's a lie or not. The reason why it's whether you know it's a lie or not, because as it speeds up to the image, which is what the brow chakra, the third eye chakra is blocked by, illusion. Because whether you know it's a lie or not, it creates the image in your head from the words that you hear. Now, when you can't understand the words that a motherfucker is speaking to you, what images do you create? I always used to look at it like this, and I still look at it like this now. When you read and the word is not something that you understand and you don't stop to learn it and put it back in context to see what you said when you read it, if you're not seeing that, then there's going to be a deficit in the image that is supposed to be portrayed in your head. That image is going to have a blank. It's going to have a smudge there. There's going to be something there. So you're seeing an absent point. When people say, I read this whole thing and then I had to go back and read it because the whole time you was reading, you saw nothing. Whenever you're in a space and you had to pause a little bit because you know what I'm talking about. When you reading, if you a fluent reader and you read a paragraph and you're like, what the fuck did I just read? I'm going to tell you how you end up getting off track like that. You're like, yo, what did I just read? Because everything you just read did not create an image. But what image was created was something that you read in there created an image that took you off from reading. While you're still reading, you're thinking about something else. You're envisioning something else. And you have to come back and center yourself and say, what the fuck did I just read? But now you have to get in tune and go back and you have to reread it again. Every word you spoke, every word you said, but from one word, it took you somewhere else that completely distracted you as you read. So you saw the words, you looked at the words, but you didn't read them. And you didn't read them and comprehend them in a way that created the image because another image was created based off of what you were reading. That's how you got distracted. That happens when you're reading. That happens when you're reading. Now, when you're hearing words that you don't understand, what images are you creating? You feel what I'm saying? When you're creating ideas that you don't understand, what words are you creating? Case in point, I'm going to use a good example for this one. When I tell people about the etymology of the word demon being genius, if you don't know that that's the origin of the word genius, now when you see demons in your mind, you picture little dark figures with horns and pitchforks. It's a demon. Look at your emojis. Look up a demon emoji. It's a little purple with the purple figure with horns. We have an imagery already set for what a demon is. So when somebody says, I'm battling demons, no, you're battling the consequences of your actions. Because you will detrimental shit into your life. Those ain't demons. Those ain't dark forces. Those are your actions manifesting themselves. That's how source moved through you. That's divine oneness. When people say, I'm trying to get right with God, I'm trying to be at one with God, you're never not. I'm going to keep it an absolute 100. You're never not at one with source. That's the plot twist to all this. They got us believing we have to walk a path, we have to follow a certain. That's how you get lost in a cult. Sure. But that's how you get lost in a cult. When you have to follow what somebody else says, that no, source already told you. Source tells you every single day which path you're supposed to be walking to get back to it. With images. Now our images are so clouded because now we can't separate that. We consume so much TV. You feel me? We read what they tell us to read. Like, think about it. I'll tell people all the time, and this is one of the most dangerous things ever. It's dangerous now with integration. They say black women are the most educated women in the United States. It's a flex. We clap it up. Yeah, she's smart. No, she's the most educated in the United States. The education system is designed to promote white supremacy. If you successfully complete the American education system, you align with white supremacy, whether you're willing to accept it or not. Whether you're able to accept it or not, you're designed to align with white supremacy. Why do you think it still stands? The fuck? Because now they control your imagery. They've been controlling your imagery since, and now you have to see this world you have to see the world the way they need you to see it to keep their world in motion. So when you tell me the black woman is the most educated woman in the face of this earth, I'm not knocking that. She is. PhDs, all of these things. But look at the direct correlation. They wonder why our relationships don't work and they can't last. They were never meant to last. Because we all become white supremacists. When you successfully complete the education system, this is what you're supposed to be. We're not going to tell you that you're going to start thinking like white people want you to think. We're not going to tell you, but we're going to put in place that when you go to school, when it's time for the literature, you're going to read all the literature we need you to read because we need you to have a certain image about this structure. There was a quote that I seen that was like, yo, American means white. Everybody else got to hyphenate. When you are the most educated in the American system, what the fuck you think you are? The fuck? And now we wonder why when we get to a certain point, I have to date people I have to be with people that ain't black. I can't be with black people. I have to denounce the fact that, you know how many of us come from the hood? You know how many of us come from poverty-stricken areas? You know how many of us come from areas that image that creates the imagery that this education system doesn't support? And we wonder why we're against our people when we get older. Oh, y'all got to pull up by your bootstraps. You start talking exactly like them. You know why? Because you see how they see. When source got to move through, divine oneness is at play. They're not violating the fucking law. They're not violating the fucking law. When the images are already programmed into your mind, when divine oneness has to kick in and source has to slow down, and what images are in place? You have a poor self-image of yourself because you have a positive self-image of them. We swear when we leave there, why are we so exhausted? Because you're fighting yourself, motherfucker. Why am I so exhausted when I leave corporate America? Why do I this? When I come home and I gotta take my mask off, I can do all of this shit. Do you not see? This is the program. This is what the education system was supposed to be. I always say it, in America, anything that has system beside it is designed to work because it's going to create the necessary imagery to allow them to manipulate source the way they need to. They don't violate the law. This is why they go unpunished. Why can't they do shit? Because your free will kicks in when you say, I do. When you say yes. When you say, I am. Your shit kicks in. And now you're going to do exactly what the imagery has already been programming you to do. So it goes back into the brow chakra being blocked by illusion. But how does it easily become being be blocked? How does it easily grow to being blocked by illusion? By the words you speak, the lies you tell, the lies you speak, whether you know it's a lie or not. Because it's both lies and truths, because what you speak creates imagery in your mind. And you tell your deity, this is what I want my life to look like. And so you manifest the actions that do other shit. I had a conversation with this woman one time. I had on some Crocs. We went to the beach and I had on some Crocs. I had to be in like my mid-20s or something like this. Black woman. I'll get to the law of transmutable energy later. But, she wore weaving contacts, whatever. So she tried to roast, like, what grown man wear Crocs? I said, what black woman still wear color contacts? And my sister, right, stop. Because I was the guest. Nobody knew me. It was like my sister and my sister, her best friend, and they military friend. And I just happened to, you want to go to the beach? Yeah. And her military friend had a sister. They would just come, yeah, we got a beach house, blah, blah, blah. We're going to run down there, boom, 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 come on. I said, all right, cool, I'll go. So Shorty see me, I got on Crocs. Yeah, because I'm about to go to the beach. I'm not, what the fuck? I got on my trunks, I got on a t-shirt, and I got on Crocs. The fuck I gotta look good for? I'm about to take this shit off. I'm about to get in the water. I come to be comfortable and get in some fucking water because I'm about to swim. So it was wild how me and her eventually skated off and we started talking and shit. We got real deep and shit, and shit got real. So I was like, what black woman still wear color contacts? Off rip. We started bumping heads. You feel me? Off rip, we started bumping heads. Why? Because the imagery is already programmed and set there. Why are black women and black men against each other? Because we taught to be a confrontation, argumentative to each other. When we flirted when we was kids, hey, ugly. I really liked you, though. Then why you insult me? Because that's what we supposed to do. That's what we supposed to do. But anywho, she had color contacts. Now, people don't, like, the actions come from the imagery. I can tell what you think about yourself based off how you present yourself to me. And I get it. I had on Crocs. Yes, that's how she felt like and again, I wanted to be comfortable. I am not impressing nobody. Hence why I got on Crocs. This is not like, it presented itself. How you present yourself physically, it shows where you feel me. I'm not trying to impress nobody. How do you still walk with your head? Cause I'm me. I'm good on the inside, my nigga. I'm good on the inside. The external don't mean shit. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck about the external because I know what's on the internal. Therefore, the external can be whatever I need it to be. You feel what I'm saying? But she had the color contacts in her eyes. So she doesn't view her eyes the way that they're brown. Let them shits be brown. You don't need color, baby. Who has color eyes? Who has colored eyes that we mark as a standard of beauty? So I already know where you see yourself, how you view yourself as beautiful. You feel me? But then it got to where, once we got to the water and shit, me and her kind of skated off and shit. We was I didn't fuck. I didn't try to fuck. I didn't try to smash. It was like a real conversation. And it fucked with her because it was like, wow, I didn't know you were like that. Yeah, I know. Most people don't. Because I get real deep with shit. Because this is where my mind always is. You feel me? And then we started really talking as a black man and a black woman. Conversation was different. There's still some imagery there. That imagination that where two or three come together in my name, I will be there. When we came together on our mental shifted onto some other shit and our imagery started changing. In our conversation, that means our words started changing. Divine oneness is a law, my nigga. It will work every single time. Every single time. You just got to know what the fuck the law is. You feel me? We don't know what the laws are anymore. We think this shit is an accident. No. We want to control your divine oneness, nigga, because now we know what your free will is going to be. We're all given a free will to access the divine oneness how we see fit. And the divine oneness is going to manifest itself as the way in which our imagery can create that through our free will. You can visualize whatever the fuck you want to visualize. That's what people don't get about what free will really is. You have the capacity to visualize whatever the fuck you want to visualize. And that's where your reality is going. You got to deal with the consequences of the life you create based off your imagery. Motherfuckers don't know that that's what it is. The words that you speak, the lexicon that you have, what you say about yourself daily. This is what you do. This is what comes of your reality. You feel what I'm saying? So now when I'm painting these pictures and shit, this is why I try specifically whenever I talk, I try to use my imagination. I mean, not my imagination. I do use my imagination, but I try to use my emotions. I try to use my feelings. I try to put every bit of my passion into everything that I say. This is when my inflections change. I still laugh. I get you. Sometimes you hear I put that in there purposely because I need you to see what the fuck I'm saying, without a doubt. Because I know when you see what I'm saying, you know where I'm coming from. If you can't see what I'm saying, then it don't matter. Like, motherfuckers see word. Like, this is why social media is so dangerous. Niggas can't read, bro. So when you read the post that, like, this is a disconnect that a lot of people don't get yet if they're not in tune with the law of divine oneness yet. When people comment, they be like, that's not what the fuck I was talking about. Nigga, that's what they saw in their mind when they read your shit. It don't matter what you was talking about. It matters what they can comprehend. And what they comprehend determines how they speed these words up in order to create the image. Motherfuckers see a few words and it's nigga, that's not where the fuck I was going. That's not even where I went with that. What the fuck are you talking about? I literally just got into it on Threads. If you seen the post that I made, it was yesterday at the time of this recording. And I'm recording and dropping today. So it was yesterday at the time of this recording. But I made a post and I said, spirituality, I said, before you step into spirituality, you need to detox from religion. It's not a lateral move. I got it. One dude came in and said they literally mean the same thing. Literally, no, they don't. Suck a dick. And he decided, I was like, etymologically, religion means religare, blah, blah, blah. I'm telling him the shit. He decides to go to the etymology app, like I ain't got the shit, and cut and paste some of the shit. And now, what you got to realize is, yeah, you can post the words, but can you see the image and everything that goes into it? So it started with religion, meaning spiritual devotion, whatever the case may be, and it had a number, 1200C beside it. Now, when it went to religare, in that same etymological point, it had 5C behind it. The C represents century. 5th century comes before 12th century. 5th century comes before 1200 century. You feel what I'm saying? So it's like, oh, they was using religare before they were using it as devotion. Okay, I'm explaining that to the nigga. And excuse me. Then I said, oh, but you wanted to put the etymology for religion, but you left out spirituality. And he comes back, put spirituality in the motherfucker. And when he put spirituality in, he said spirituality. See, they mean the same thing. I said spirituality came after spirit. Spirit meant the breath before that. And then he was like, oh, if we're going to be talking about this, then we're going to say, no. Don't backpedal now, nigga. Let's keep fucking going. And then I keep going and expanding. And it's like, oh, you're moving the goalpost. I didn't move the goalpost. I knew what goalpost I set up the moment I made the post. You motherfuckers get in here and read and only see the image that you can see. Never once do you decide to question, what image did you just create for me? What image was I supposed to see? This is why niggas don't learn. They think the image that they see was the image that was given. Never once does it cross your mind, if you see this shit and you get emotionally wired, if you get emotionally wired, you already gone. Because what you're seeing is offending you. Now, you're not even coming into the space where you asking, hey, what were you intending to show? What image were you? Then I would have went in and said, hey, I understand this. So now as everybody's coming into the space of you need to do this, you need to do that. Somebody even commented and said, just because you don't believe, I never said I didn't believe shit. Now when we get into that conversation, I say I don't believe because I understand. I'm at a whole different level of the mind than you. Whole different level of the mind than you. And you know why that gets fucked up? Because people can't quantify it. This is divine oneness. I ain't got no control over that shit. I'm in a whole different league of the mind when it comes to this shit. And it sounds rude. It sounds disrespectful, but it's not. Because I can tell you on a physical, I bench press more than you. You'll shut the fuck up because you can see me bench press. If we go to the motherfucking gym and I put 350 on a rack and I say I hit 350 and I hit 350, you got to shut the fuck up. If you see me working out and you see my physical physique and I say I hit 350, you can imagine with a body like that, you probably do. But never once does it cross your mind. With articulation like that, you have a mind like that. You know why? Because the connection is never made because the law of divine oneness isn't understood. And because the law of divine and the law of divine oneness, the laws themselves can't even be implemented correctly without having the mind right. Motherfuckers just believe shit. They don't understand the conscious, subconscious, and unconscious. They don't understand belief, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. They don't understand the mind being split between emotions. They think their emotions are their heart. This is my heart. I feel. This, that, and the third. You feel and you think at the same time. It's the same thing. Opposite sides of the same coin. And it's all how your mind operates. So never once does it cross their mind that, yo, you know what? Somebody could be mentally stronger than me. And people be thinking mental strength and mental fortitude is your ability to endure bullshit. No, it's the capacity you have to use your intelligence. I use my shit very, very well. Very well. And I don't bite my tongue with the shit and I don't hold back. I will show you that we are not in the same capacity. Oh, now you're being arrogant. It's not being arrogant. The arrogant motherfucker is the motherfucker who is not on this level trying to be on this level. Imagine this. That same metaphor. You see the physique of a motherfucker that benches 350. And you think, I should be able to hit 352 because he's hitting 350 and he looks like that. Then you get over there and crush your whole fucking chest because you can't break 175. You think I'm supposed to feel sorry for the motherfucker who can't break 175 mentally and they coming over here to bench 350? No, I'm going to show you that I bench 350. I'm going to show you. The modesty, the humility, that's not on me to exhibit. That's on you. You came over here ego tripping. Because we don't respect the mind enough. Because we see words and we don't understand how words are connected to the imagery in order to be used to get us to connect to source. So you can see how a motherfucker articulates shit. And that sometimes that do fuck me up too. Because the way in which I articulate, sometimes, I say bruh. Sometimes I'll hyphenate a word. I'll put apostrophe and leave a G off and shit. But you feel me? The way in which I articulate is like, come on, bro. Like, do you not hear how I deliver these words? And I'll be showing you that that we're leagues apart. I never get frustrated. I never get out of pocket. I can go the distance and I have every word to give the exact image that I'm showing you in my head why I said what I said. Because you're not paying attention to the fact that I'm saying what I said because of what I see. I'm not just talking. My nigga, I'm not just talking. I'm actually actively using the law of divine oneness and I know how to become one with source. It's not my fault that you associate oneness with source with good behavior. It's not. It's not. It's not, my nigga. How you behave has absolutely nothing to do with you connecting to source. In fact, it's what disconnects you from source. Source don't need you to behave. It needs you to be. And it needs you to be according to what you know that you are. You don't know what you are because you don't know what you are because you don't pay attention to what you envision. I'm doing a dramatic pause for that one. You don't know what you are because you don't know what you envision. All of the shit that comes to your mind, they got you believing that's a disease. Oh, you got attention deficit disorder. You can't focus. No, motherfucker, this is how my imagination works. You feel me? I don't understand what you're talking about. You have not defined the words that this is one of the reasons why people don't get math. Math is easy as hell to get. Easy as hell. And I get it. Some people say, I never got math. You would have got math had you have had this in your fundamental stages. You're old now. Not old in the sense you old. You're older. Let me say it. You're older now. The time is already been elapsed for you to not get math. When you went to math, how many times did you have math vocabulary that needed to be due? None. Because we were just learning formulas and functions. That's it. We didn't learn we didn't learn to have definitions the way we did with English. We didn't learn the way in which to actually use synonyms or break down things the way. We didn't learn the words necessary to create the image to get us to see what the fuck we were supposed to be seeing. But instead, get your flashcards. Don't tell me 8 times 8 equals 64. Because don't tell me that 8 times 8 equals 64 simply because I seen it on the flashcard. When people be like, yo, you got a good memory. I don't have a good memory. I didn't memorize flashcards, bitch. I know how to multiply. I can visualize the multiplication problem in my head. When I was in elementary school, middle school, motherfuckers, it wasn't until like probably like calculus that I say probably I stopped doing math in my head around 11th to 12th grade. Cause that's when I got algebra 2 to pre-calculus. That's when I actually stopped doing it in my head. Cause nigga, you had long ass formulas. Nope, it was geometry. Uh, 10th grade geometry. No, it was my ninth grade year when I took geometry. I was the youngest in the geometry class, and I wasn't the youngest. I was the only freshman in there. It was supposed to be a sophomore class, but it was like, how did you place in geometry? This is a sophomore class, cause bitch, I know math. The fuck, you feel me? And they'll give you things like mnemonics and different things like that, or to try to memorize formulas. I didn't try to memorize formulas. I can visualize them. And I can visualize them because when I actually read the words for the math, the divine oneness would kick in because I'm able to visualize and see what I'm saying. I can get the answer. But like I was saying, I stopped doing math in my head around my ninth grade year when I started taking geometry because it was too many formulas to remember. We had to do postulates and proofs and shit. Why do I have to prove that this fucking triangle has 3 sides? What the fuck does that even mean? Why? Why? This shit doesn't make any sense. That's stupid. You feel me? That's stupid to me. But again, back when I was in elementary school, when I was learning math, this was just my own thing because I understood the words spoken and the words written about I can visualize how to do math. You feel what I'm saying? I can visualize how to do the math problem because I understood what it meant to add something, to bring two quantities together. Like, I took the time. This is why a lot of people do good in English only because it's like, oh, this is the one time we're getting, like, we have weekly vocabulary words in English. You have to read certain books in English. And then you have questions asked. Math isn't like that. Science isn't like that. But all of these points need reading. When people say, I wasn't good, you wasn't good at math because you couldn't visualize it. You wasn't good at science because you had no imagination to visualize the shit. That's it. And it's based off of the fact that a lot of the words you didn't understand. Science, this is why science is so fucking hard for a lot of people. Science is only hard for a lot of people because simply the words are bigger. They're more complex. And you're not, you spend time trying to memorize shit rather than understand. That's it. That's it, bro. They disconnected us from source by making sure we don't know how to truly tap into use the law of divine oneness while they were using the law of divine oneness on us. I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna start trying to wrap it up because this episode is long and we gotta move forward so we can get to the next week's episode. But the law, what they've done is from the beginning they gave us the television. They gave us the television. Tell-a-vision. I know it's spelled with the E, but it's television. Television to what? Television to your mind. Oh, see, there you go. One of them woke people that's always trying to sound extra smart and sound like, no. Tele is a form of communication. Vision. Now we see how you could be a dickhead? See how I can do that? See how I can do that? I can do the bullshit where I'm like, television. You feel me? Because phonetically, it sounds like you're telling your mind a vision. No, nigga, just like telecommunications, is distant. Telephone, distant phone. Telecommunications, distant communication. Distant vision. I'm telling you a distant vision, and I'm placing it in your mind in close proximity every day. Television, programming. Everybody got a TV. Now, the easiest way for me to get you to program is to not show you that you're going to be programmed, but to make this an asset that people need to have, a status symbol. You're going to voluntarily allow me to program you, which now says you're going to voluntarily allow me to be the buffer between how source has to move through you. Because now I'm getting your imagery. So from kids, we seeing this shit on TV at an early age. We grew up like, now they got you just put your baby on the tablet. How many motherfuckers can read for real? Not identify words. How many motherfuckers can read to the capacity that what they're reading, they can see in their mind? This ain't a horn tutor. This is just the fucking reality. It is what it is. When I was in the 3rd grade and I got tested, they tested me at a college reading level. I was reading at a college reading level. I forgot one of my last episodes that I was saying, and I've never stopped reading and pushing my reading comprehension to where I can read at an esoteric level. So when I tell people I understand the religious doctrines better than other people's because I can comprehend it better than other people. The fuck? Motherfuckers is still reading the same book and don't get it because you're not on the same reading comprehension level as me. I can visualize what I read from these texts and you can't. That's okay. And then the level in which you read it is different than the level in which I can read it. But even deeper than that. But the point that I was making with that was by 3rd grade, my reading comprehension level was that high, which now shows levels because people's like, well, what is reading comprehension for real? You're able to identify the words, understand the words individually, understand them in sequence together, and be able to create the image in your mind of what is really being said. Do you know the power of that? This person I have never met a day in my life wrote some words and I understand exactly what that person intended to put on the paper. That's what reading comprehension is. That's what comprehension as a whole is. But it all leads to how well you can formulate the image. When a motherfucker can't understand what it is that I'm saying, they can't visually see what I'm talking about. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I am absolutely okay with that. It does not negate what I'm saying. So when people give me that nervous laugh shit that, haha, you really believe that? No, I understand that. You don't believe that because you're not even in the point where you can visualize what I'm talking about. I'm not arguing with you. I'm not arguing with you. And I get to a point where motherfuckers, oh, we saying it. We're not saying the same thing twice. Do you not know what I saw? You want us to be saying the same thing twice because you started to see what I was saying. It was like, that's not what he was talking about. And I was talking about something totally different. So now one of two things are going to happen. Either I'm going to agree to disagree or I'm going to get extra loud and wrong. When motherfuckers get loud, they have saw absolutely nothing in their mind that they're responding to. And they think they're not being heard. And the reality is, it's not that they think they're not being heard. They know they're not articulating a message that can be seen. But if I yell somehow and get louder, you're going to see the message. In fact, the message gets more and more distorted because you don't know what the fuck if you didn't know what you was talking about, you don't know what you're screaming about. My dude, if you don't know what you're talking about, you don't know what you're screaming about. It don't matter if you get louder. The fuck? But that's how we are as humans. That's how these motherfucking humans are. But it's only because the law of divine oneness has been manipulated. But it's still at play. It's still at play. Because you're always going to be one with the source, whether you are able to conjure up the images necessary to make you one and in alignment with what the source really is. And don't forget to check out Cafe Clothing, formerly Just Scenes merch. Get all of your intricate designs crafted specifically for the melanated being to develop a positive imagery within self and to have a little bit of fun in the process. From the peace, love, knowledge, and freedom to the dead horses and water designs, all of the styles are crafted for the imagery to make you feel as you're supposed to feel. Because as I always say, the best way to fit in is to stand out. And what better way to stand out than with your exclusive styles from Cafe Clothing. All right. I'm going to go ahead and end it there. That's the law of divine oneness. When I tell y'all I actually implement and use these laws in real time, I use them. But even deeper than just using them, I understand how they're being used, why they're used against me, why they're used against us, and how the world is being functioned on them. Years ago, I was talking to a homie and it was like, yo, at some point, the universe going to have the last word. They got to answer. They're answering. I don't think people get that shit. Like, Like, I'm telling you 100%, as long as you are not in violation of the 12 laws of the universe, like, you can't be in violation of the 12 laws of the universe simply because the 12 laws of the universe never change. They're irrefutable. You cannot break these laws. You have to move in accordance with them. As long as you continue to give people free will, as long as you don't take away a person's free will, you don't violate the law. You won't be punished for it. Because as a law, as long as a person accepts that the law is being used on them and they accept the law, the fuck? You can't get in trouble for that. A dumb society who chooses to buy TVs and let themselves be programmed and control their imagery and not read books, you can't control that. People who would rather listen to audiobooks and actually read physical books to get the real words, to understand what words are being associated. Like the whole woke thing, I love us to life, bro, but sometimes we get ridiculous. You can't say morning. You got to say morning. So you say rising because we not mourning. Those two words are spelled totally different. And because those words are spelled totally different, they are supposed to elicit a different image in your mind. If you see the same image for those two words, you have the problem, not the words. I could still say good morning to a motherfucker and know that I'm saying good morning. I'm not talking about morning. The fuck? Because I know which words go with which image. Because I have the definition of the words. When somebody can critique the words you have to say because of the phonetics of the shit, phonetics are very important. Don't get me wrong. Phonetics are very important. But even deeper than phonetics is etymology, origin. Phonetics don't matter because now when I know the word that I'm hearing and I'm hearing it in context, now I can get the right image in my head. If I can't decipher the image, I can't read. If a motherfucker doesn't know the difference between morning and morning, when they say good morning, they can't read. I'm not trying to be funny, but if somebody has to tell you, like if you can be convinced and manipulated into not using a certain word because of what you hear, not what you see when that word is spoken, you're controlled. And I get it. Our people want us to get to Grand Rising, get to all of these different things and do all of this shit. Get to it. But even deeper than that, get to this level. It doesn't matter what language you speak. It doesn't matter how many words, like, can you conjure the right image according to the right words? Because that's how you connect to source, and that's how source is going to connect to you. When you meditate, people, I meditate. I want to center myself. No, the purpose of meditation is to hold images in your head so that way you and source can go back and forth together. One thing that I hear all the time when people say, yeah, when I try to meditate, my mind just runs. You and source is having a very active conversation. You don't speak words, nigga. You speak images. And now it's all over the place because you're not used to talking to it. You used to come in as a humble servant saying, I need to actually listen to a voice instead of paying attention to all of these images that keep fluttering by in your head. No. When you see these images, slow these shits down. This is what I was talking about with dreams in one of the previous episodes and shit. You don't hear the dream. You don't hear anything in a dream. But somehow you know everything that's said in the dream. You don't even have to hear words. You just know that this was said. I seen this image. I seen this image. What words do you have to slow this message from source down to be able to know what was being said? The bridge is the thought. This is between the mind and the bridge is the mind. The ether slow down to the thought. The thought slows down to the image. The image slows down to the words to speak. I forgot the dream. I had a dream last night, but I don't remember it. I don't remember it. Yeah, it was too fast for you to catch and actually see. Therefore, you can't articulate the words with it. But when source, God, Allah, Jehovah, Christian, Buddha, Jesus, whatever, when they give you that message, when they give you that motherfucking source, what words do you have to detail it? This is why you got to be careful. This is why you got to be careful. I had a homie tell me, she was like, are you a dream interpreter? I can't interpret your dreams. I don't know why you saw what you saw. Because whatever it is that you saw, whatever images that you saw, that was your communication. You're supposed to have the words to be able to understand the dream. The fuck? We live in a space now where motherfuckers can convince you that they're a dream interpreter. I tell people all the time, I cannot interpret your dream. I can only guide you to the interpretation of your dream. By understanding what you tell me and giving you seeing what words do you have with this image. Let me help you let me use my words to help you navigate to the words that will determine what your image meant. Nigga, I don't know. I don't know why that shit was in your motherfucking head. I don't know why you saw two roosters sitting on a fucking bar. The fuck does that mean? The fuck? You tell me. What significant? I ask people all the time when people ask me. I ain't never had nobody tell me about roosters and shit. I just made it up. But let's say you come to me and say, I got roosters. I had a dream about roosters. What does that mean? What significance do roosters have in your life? I don't know. Well, what color were the roosters? Well, one was big, one was small, one was this, one was this, one was this. All right, keep using your words. Get detailed into the words that you're saying. What do you, I don't know what it is. I had to learn that because I would tell people back when I was deep into religion, I would tell people about a dream that I had. And I didn't realize I'm telling you what I see in my head, and you're not going to see what I'm telling you. How you hear my words and how you interpret my words, the only words that I can conjure right now based off of what I saw, you're going to create the image in your head and try to give that back to me. That's not what my dream meant. That's just not what my dream. We don't even share the same vocabulary. How the fuck you going to interpret my dream? This is why you have to be careful. When it comes to your tarot readers, when it comes to your astrologers and shit like that, you have to make sure these motherfuckers know what they talking about. That's why I tell people and say, it resonated with me. Nigga, no, you just trusted the nigga that told you. How's it gonna resonate if you can't see the fucking image? You don't even have the words to see the image. When it comes to astrology, I was asking somebody about a Fuyaquis, right? Which is supposed to be the 13th zodiac sign. Motherfuckers like, nah, there's no such thing. Okay, nigga, I synced it. Like I synced the information and it's valid. Just because you can't dismiss something that you have not seen and that you cannot see in your head. That's the law of divine oneness. That's the law of divine oneness. It's not, it's about, it's about how well you are able to be one with the source. By being one with the source, you're able to be one with everything. Because now you're stepping into a space where you can see all in all. When I look at this tree, I know source is in that tree. Can a tree communicate and talk? No, it doesn't have to, motherfucker, but it communicates in other ways. You ever if you put too much water in a plant, the leaves will cry. Not literally cry, my nigga, but the leaves will say, "Yo, you put too much water in me," and they'll start to let the water out of the leaves. That's communication. Don't water me this much, doofy. Now you have an image for that communication. When I know that my plants start to cry and the water starts to come out of the leaves, I put too much water in them. Now, I look at the soil and see how much water did I put in there. Never put that much water in there. So when I'm filling it up for the next time, I know not to go over a certain limit because my plant will cry. It will release the excess water to let me know you filled me too much. When source communicates, it's not words, my nigga. It's images. It's literally what you see. Now you have to get to a point where you can see things. And that's how you know when source is active. And now you go into understanding the images. Like one thing that I do when my spirit animals are present, right? I'll go look up the thing. I'll go look up what it is. Now, when I'm on Google, because it's like, oh, but these are other people's words. I know. I have to be able to see what I'm supposed to see, not what they want me to see based off of this. For example, woodpeckers are one of my spirit animals now. And woodpeckers are about focus and discipline and consistency. It doesn't take looking up Google to figure that out. Why? Because have you ever seen a woodpecker do what a woodpecker will stay and fucking peck for hours. Hours. In the same fucking spot. Now, you have to realize, how does that pertain to me? What words can you get from what you're seeing right now? It's that simple. It's that simple. Like when my homies be like, yo, bro, I saw 444. What did it mean? What did you see? What were you thinking when you saw it? What images were in your head when you saw that? That was a confirmation. Now articulate the words. I don't remember what I was thinking. Well, nigga, I can't help you. I can't help you solve this shit. This is what I be telling people. I can't help you do shit. I can only guide you to where you were already supposed to be going. That's the law of divine oneness. I know they manipulate it with the government, all that shit, but they never take it away from you. You have all kind of options. Career paths, you feel me? You get the choice to do it every single day. But it's so much easier if you want to. I rather go down the convenient route. Be convenient for me. Convenience is what's fucking a lot of y'all up. And why y'all can't get the source. Because you won't think and you won't do. And because you won't think and you won't do, your mind is now, quote unquote, playing tricks on you. Because everything that you see in your mind, you don't embody. And you don't speak towards. You don't speak life to. Source is not what you think it is. Source is not what you try to make it out to be. It's not in the source is not in the book. But source is going to be that very thing that connects to what things you see. So if everything you see in a book is all you see, that's your source. Why do you think that was given to you that way? You have no freedom. You still have free will, but you don't have free will. But it's not taken away from you because you make the choice. Every day I continue to choose to do this. The rituals that you're supposed to do, they're supposed to align you to source because it's supposed to align you in such a way that you are able to see the images, bro. That's it. And understand that there's only detriment and benefit. Is this image that I'm seeing right now going to be detrimental or beneficial for me? You feel me? If in my culture, if in my reality, this is what a sign is supposed to be, show me. Why do we ask for deities to show us signs? Because we know that in order to communicate, like on an unconscious level that we don't not even adherent to, we know that in order to communicate with source, we need to see something. If you can hear my stomach, my bad, because I ain't ate yet. I just hopped into this podcast. And that shit is rumbling. But if you need a sign from source, that means you need an external sign. That means you're not able to see what's on it. Like, how visible is that sign going to be if you can't even see it internally? So now when you see the sign, can you put the right words to what the sign is saying? This is why all of this shit is important. And that's just the first law. The law of divine oneness. We got 11 more of these motherfuckers to go just as in depth with this shit. I told y'all, it's up and it's stuck. When I leave this motherfucking plane, I'm gonna make sure I crack every code and I tell every secret that they got hidden from us. But that's the law of divine oneness, bruh. To understand how to be, you return this. This is how you get the source. And it's a law. It happens 100% of the time. 100% of the time. And depending on how you view your life through benefit or detriment will determine if source is a god or a devil for you. That's it. That's it. But it starts in your mind and your imagination and then your ability to articulate this reality. I don't really know what I'm trying to say. You better start learning how to know what you're trying to say. You better start learning how to say what you're trying to say, because now when it comes into your mind and you got to see it, now you got to speak it. That's what's speaking to you. It ain't no fucking soft voice. It's not a voice. It's a whole bunch of images that you got to decipher. That's why when you get those dreams, you got to be able to have the words for everything that's going on. So when you see the certain things, it's like, oh, okay. Okay. I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. That's divine oneness. But this shit long as hell, so I'm gonna go ahead and end it there. Go kiss your babies. Make sure they eat their vegetables. And our kids are tapped into source already. This is what I be saying all of the time. I'm glad we finally got to this episode so I don't have to hold so much shit back what I be talking about. The kids are tapped into divine source because they can visibly see without interruption. They literally don't have the words to manipulate their visions. at all. For the first 2 years of their life, they do not have the words to manipulate their vision. They can see whatever. This is why when a baby wants to walk, it just walks. It looks and says, I got to put my leg here. I got to move this. I'm watching what you do, and I do it. When babies are born, Source has slowed down to create that. Like Source has emanated itself, slowed down, or whatever the case may be, blah, blah, blah. But as it's come out, Source is moving at its fastest rate within a child. And it begins to slow down. It's almost instant. If children can actually talk, bro, if they could talk early, they'll be able to tell us a lot. But they can't. All they can do is give images. Operate from images and sounds. And they have not slowed down enough, and at that point when you first come in, you have not sped up enough to actually create the image you need to depict. This is why when babies, their first two forms of communication are crying and laughing. Crying is for the positive side, laughing is for the negative side. It's weird because women be like, my baby's got different crying. They cry one way when they're hungry, cry one way when they need to be changed, they cry another way this. I'm telling you, I just shit it, or I need to eat. And it's a different cry. They also have different laughs. I'm communicating. I'm happy about this. I'm this about this. And then it becomes words. But then we shut the words down. Like, we got to make sure we're building the vocabulary of our children. Make sure you can identify and say what it is that you see. Because now when you see it in your head and you have to tell me something, you can tell me the truth. When people be like, yo, tell me the truth, it's like, you know what I'm saying? People say, tell me the truth. We got so, because we hear it at such a young age, tell me the truth, and we know that truth is associated with getting in trouble. So I got to say it in a certain way that keeps me from getting in trouble. This is why lies and truths is the throat chakra communication, because tell me what you see. Tell me the truth. Now, when I tell you the truth, I got to tell you what I see. But now I got to consider if I'm going to get in trouble if I tell you what I see. Why do kids lie? Why? They don't lie. They make up shit. They tell what's in their imagination. They tell what image will keep them from being in trouble. Because they know now that the truth is associated with punishment. If you literally stop punishing your babies for the truth, they won't lie to you. I was like 6 years old one time, and my mom, my brother, and my sister, they're all older than me, they had this shake that this lady had made. And my mom tasted it. Now, we all went to the same church. Thou shalt not lie. They lied, but we all went to this church, and the lady made this thing. She said, this is so good, this, that, and the third. My mom tasted it. She said, this is good. How'd you make this? Okay. My brother hit it. This is, I like this. I like this. My sister tasted it. Mind you, I'm 5 years younger than my sister. I'm 7 years younger than my brother. 29 years younger than my mama. I'm 6 at the time. And they all take this hit. I never had a filter. They all say it's good. Don't leave me out. We all family. If y'all say it's good, let me have some. My mom said, nah, you might be too young for it. Nah, I want to taste it. She said, here. I said, this is nasty. And I'm like, why are y'all mad at me? Y'all lied. I told the lady the truth. This shit is fucking nasty. This shit is nasty. The moment I tasted it, the image came into my head, and the words that followed was nasty. This is nasty. I articulated it well. And you wonder why your babies lie? Because you want them to tell you the truth, which is the image that initially shows up into their mind when you ask them something, but they're going to get in trouble for it. So now they have to structure their image in such a way that doesn't allow them to get in trouble. And it's still divine oneness. The law of divine oneness is never violated. You cannot break a law. It has to be enacted. Now it's going to be for benefit or detriment. Now, when I need to get the right thought, Source, I need you to tell me what to say. So that way I can get out of this shit. I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want to be physically damaged. But if I don't do it this way, I'm going to get in trouble. So I have to lie. Throat chakra shit. I'm going to communicate this in a way that whatever image that I can create, that's why you got to pause to think first. That's why one way that you can tell if somebody's telling the truth or lying is depending on which way they look up in the sky. Do they look left or do they look right? If they look left, they're drawing on some creativity shit. If they look right, they're drawing on recollection and memory. Because I got to see what I'm saying first before I say it. And I got to say what I know is going to fit. Like, this shit's weird, bro. If we teach our babies how to tell the truth by expressing, what do you see right now? It's not about correcting them. It's about teaching them how to have the right words to speak. We want them to say a certain way and behave a certain way. No, they're showing you that they need to be. If we stop trying to make them behave, they can grow into people who know how to be. Motherfuckers can be living their life the right way. But it starts with the law of divine oneness and making sure you know how to use it well and tap in when you're supposed to. But it's like I said, as long as fuck, real long. I don't think I've ever gone this long. Go kiss your babies. Make sure they eat their vegetables. And I'm going to see y'all all on the next one. Peace, love, knowledge, and freedom. I'm out.